Welcome to Shad Life. Well, as you can see, I have the Ozark Trail FS2 Slalom behind me in the stand. I unboxed it, got it all set up and ready to ride. Pretty stoked about doing this. This is definitely a budget bike. You can get it through Walmart. It's under $500, so that's pretty cool. What I want to test out on this is this a good enough bike to get somebody hooked on mountain biking? Definitely somebody that's in the lower budget category. I wouldn't recommend this if you can easily afford a $1,500, $2,000 some bike. But for somebody who's really on a budget but wants to get into mountain biking, this might be an excellent option, and it opens the doors to more people to be able to get into mountain biking. And over time, they can save up some money and start upgrading different things. The way this frame is, it's very upgradable. So if you're wondering what Ozark Trail is, it is a Walmart brand. The Ozarks are down in Arkansas. That's also where Bentonville is, where all the crazy, awesome mountain bike trails are. And the Walton family seems to really be doing something here. They're thinking, if somebody's really going to get into mountain biking, they need at least the bare minimum to do it at an affordable price. Because a lot of department store bikes, they can't handle legitimate mountain biking. And the question is this one able to handle some legitimate mountain biking, at least at the entry level, right? You're not going to be sending this off massive drops and doing big, rocky, gnarly descents and things like that. This is just something so somebody can get out, ride, and enjoy the trails. And I bet you there's a good chunk of Bentonville this bike will work for. So that's what it is. It is pretty amazing. I'm fairly impressed with the spec, especially considering that it's under $500. I'm just going to go over it a little bit. But before I do, I am not the first one on YouTube to talk about this bike. There's a bunch of other reviewers talking about it and riding it and so on. But the reason I got it is because their opinions are all over the place. It's not like there's one solid consensus on this bike. So I'm like, well, I might as well try it myself and see what I think and talk about it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get out and ride this bike, and then I'm going to do little bits of upgrades here and there and see how upgradable this bike is. So that's what's going to happen here. So for starters, let's just kind of go over the bike. We're going to start with the front end. Handlebars. These are just some regular 31/8 aluminum handlebars. Decent stem. It's a relatively short stem. I don't know that length. Looks like maybe a 60 millimeter. Could be 50, and it's just skinnier here. I'll have to measure it, but it's shorter. The geometry looks really decent on this bike. 1 1/8 steer all the way through, but the frame is taper compatible, so that gives you the ability to upgrade the fork. The fork here is a Suntour XCM 30. Kind of scary. 30 millimeter stanchions. I've got 36 there, 35, and 38, right? So, yeah, 30 millimeters is pretty skinny. But we'll see how they do. It's just a quick release. Disc brakes, so not through axle. And then you got some actually branded tires, Kenda. The tires look pretty decent tread, like a good XC style tread, which is what I would expect on a bike like this, with the amount of travel that it has. I haven't even looked, but I believe these are 100 millimeter travel, and then I think the rear suspension is like 60 some millimeters of travel. And then we get up here to the brakes. These look like some V-brake kind of levers, which are interesting considering these are disc brakes. We'll have to see how they work. And then we have Shimano Q's, which is name brand shifting. The clicks are actually pretty nice right there. And the grips are amazing. And I'm not just saying that. These grips are soft and comfortable. Like, that is unheard of on a bike in this price point. And that's a contact point. So it's important. It's like, oh, the contact point feels good, right? So that's what we have going on in the front end. So we're going to go through. I'll talk a little bit more about the frame in a moment. Let's just talk about another contact point, the seat. The seat actually looks pretty decent. It's got a channel in the middle. It's wide. The padding is okay. I won't say it's great, but it's definitely not super cheesy either. No dropper post. It does have a quick release. Get down here. We have square taper, just some standard aluminum cranks, single chain ring. You can kind of see the square taperness there. And then we've got 1x9, so 9 cogs in the rear. Q's derailleur, so a good, decent, it's a little wobbly, whatever, but it's Shimano. It should hold up and do good. I do like that you get closer ratio down here, but as you get up in the gears, the jumps are bigger, thus giving you probably some decent climbing ability on this bike, considering you're just 1x9. Again, rear discs. These discs look like they might be 160. I'll look at them and put down on the screen what they are. And then caliper or mechanical brakes. Again, same tire on the rear. The rims seem fairly narrow. These tires are 29 by 2.35. Overall, pretty well spec'd. Let's talk about the frame. One thing that stands out right away when I look at this frame is how good the weld quality is. That is some seriously nice weld quality. I'm assuming this is made in China. Another thing that I already know about this frame, I can actually see them there. Cartridge bearings for the suspension pivots rather than bushings. Kev Central has been going over this bike, upgrading it and everything for the last few months, and he's taken these apart, and there are bearings in there. It's kind of nice because I don't have to do that now. So this looks like a standard just 4-bar suspension design. You don't have to reinvent the wheel here. You can just go with tried and true, and that's pretty sweet. These look pretty beefy. They're thicker, but they're not connected. Almost all of the pivots you see on higher end bikes, this piece and this piece they're connected in all one piece, giving you a stiffer platform there. So that's a little interesting. You can just look at the one on my Norco. That's very sturdy, all one piece there. Same on the Santa Cruz Vala, how that's all one piece there, going to be a lot sturdier. So that concerns me a little bit about maybe this being a little flexy, but we'll see. I got to get out and ride it. Spring shock, Exaform is the brand. So we'll see how that goes. This looks like rebound, and then your preload is just tightening this against the spring. So we'll see how that shock feels, right? Again, really nice welds. Another just kind of really interesting observation on this frame is it looks like it has internal cable routing for a dropper post. So you can go in there, come through, it comes out the bottom here, right there, and then it would come up through here and go in there. There's actually an inlet, so you can put a dropper in there, dropper compatible. But what's also interesting is there's guides here for external cable routing underneath. And the only thing I could think of is that would also be for a dropper. So if you wanted to externally route your dropper, you could, I guess. It's just weird they have both. You'd think they would just go with one or the other, but you have both options. I found that interesting. Again, I mentioned the tapered head tube, so you could upgrade the fork. So let's talk about the upgradability. We already know you could update the dropper post, right? You can update the fork with a taper fork. Modern forks are going to have a 15 millimeter through axle. One issue I see there is if you did want to update the fork, you just automatically will have to update at least the front wheel, but if you want a matching set of wheels, you'll have to update the rear too. But we're talking regular quick release up front, but you go to the back and you actually have boost spacing through axle back here, so you can run an updated through axle rear wheel on the rear, but on the front you can't. So that is kind of strange in my opinion, because it adds an extra difficulty to the upgradability of this bike. Somebody did mention to me though that if you went in the order of upgrading the wheels first, you could always get a nicer set of wheels and then get a wheel that has the through axle hub that has the quick release adapters. And they do make those where you can actually, you just put an adapter in and you can run quick release, and then you swap out the adapters to the through axle adapter, and then you can run through axle. So that is an option if you were trying to stay within a budget as you upgrade. You could upgrade the wheels first and prepare for the eventual day that you save up the money to update the fork. So there's just different ways to go about it, and we'll talk all about that as I do some upgrades to this bike. I already have a bunch of parts available so I don't have to buy anything, that I can update this bike. And then after I'm done doing its initial ride in its stock form, then going out and doing some rides with it being updated, I'm going to put this bike back into its stock form, as you see it here, and I'm going to give it away on my channel. So that'll be fun. This is going to be a unique giveaway because I want to make sure it goes to somebody that will appreciate this bike. I don't want just to give it to anybody, especially none of us elitist riders that ride $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 bikes, right? I want it to go to somebody that's gonna appreciate getting this bike for what it is. So we'll see how I pull that off. But yeah, the next video you will see me riding this bike. So I do appreciate your support for my channel. Please like and subscribe. Peace.